Here we are joined today by Sean of Thing 12 Games discussing their game Seals of Cthulhu.
Hey everybody! Thanks for having me on.
So, Sean, what got you on to wanting to make games and such?
Well, I've been a part of the game industry for quite a while. 98, 99 is when I got my start, and that's in the video game industry. I came out of art school. I went to the Vancouver Film School to study computer animation, 3D design, stuff like that. I've always had an interest in gaming and just the artistic side of things ever since I was a young kid. And when I got out of school, I came down to Seattle, and there weren't a lot of art job openings at the time, and I ended up getting a job as a tester at Electronic Arts, and kind of kept doing that for a little while, and then just I was an okay artist. I was not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I had a good understanding of the principles of art, and I found the mechanics of going through testing and that sort of thing really interesting. And so I basically learned the video game industry business, working my way up through testing to become a video game producer at a handheld company called Kryptonite Games. While I was a producer at that company, I ended up doing some design work as well. One of the games that I basically co-designed and directed is a game called Looney Tunes Cartoon Conductor for IDOS. Really cool game. It was a music rhythm-based game that featured the Looney Tunes franchise, and it was a ton of fun to work on. I got to go down to the Warner Brothers studio and sit in on voice recordings for all the classic characters. So
that had to be amazing to do.
It was incredible. I got to meet Joel Lasky, the guy that did the voice of Bugs Bunny after Mel Blanc. Right?
Sorry. I will nerd out a bit from that because that sounds like awesome.
Totally. It's all these incredible people. So that was just a phenomenal experience. And then I eventually came to work over while I was there, I met Sean Harold. He was a producer at the time, and we became really good friends. Sean eventually went to work at Big Fish Games. He eventually brought me over to work there as well. And at Big Fish Games, I was working as a producer on the mobile side of things. And from a publisher producer, I'm mostly responsible for helping to take existing games and make them a little better on the mobile side of things. So the game design's already done. The games are already kind of cemented in place. It's just what tweaks do we need to do to make it
jazzing
them
up
experience
for the mobile market and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fun. It's really engaging. I like doing that and helping other people be successful. But from a creative side, I was left wanting a little bit. So I ended up taking a vacation after Christmas break. I had a really stressful Christmas break. So I came back to work and I told my boss, I'm like, I need a break. I didn't have a break. And he's like, yeah, sure, it's fine. Take an extra week. So in that amount of time, my brain went into hyper creative mode since I didn't have to think about work or life or anything like that. And I ended up designing a game. And prior to that, I was really involved in the Magic the Gathering scene. Dived headlong into that, and the thing that I really enjoyed about Magic was designing decks. And as my deck designing process kept going, I started realizing really what I'm designing are games. I'm not designing super competitive tournament breaking game decks. What I'm designing are things that take existing mechanics and break them in some interesting way. I'm finding ways to kind of work within a framework and then a way to twist that around. And that's really what I like about game design.
So that sounds amazing, to be honest.
So I designed a game and it was interesting and I played it with some friends, and there's a kernel of fun to it, and so I just kind of kept pursuing it. And I ended up talking to Sean Harold about. I started looking at Kickstarter. We were looking at how I was looking at the creative side of Kickstarter, how companies interact with the public, things that they do visually to get people interested in what they have up there, all the ways that they communicate with people, all that sort of stuff, all the creative side of Kickstarter. He happened to be looking at the financial side of Kickstarter, how people manage the financial side, the price that they have to set things at, and all that sort of stuff, all the back end things.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a natural fit that we just worked together on something, since we were both approaching the same thing at different angles that married really well together.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be a perfect fit. I personally, from my experience, I know you guys have done, I think, 4 or 5 successfuls.
We're on number 4, yeah.
We're on number 4 right now. So I know there's Dice of Crowns, Dice of Pirates, which is behind me. I have my lookout copy of it. Click Click Boom, which is next to me, which I just got through the Dice of Pirates, and then the current one, Seals of Cthulhu. Do you want to give us a little brief how you came up with the Seals of Cthulhu?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. So around the time of Dice of Crowns, I was in a different town. I was actually driving back home, and I had a pretty long drive to go on, and an idea kind of sprung to my head. The idea was that you have 2 players. One has a set of things in his hand that are not very valuable to him, but are very valuable to the other player. And that player has the exact same thing. He's got something really valuable to him, or to the other player, but it's not really valuable to them. So that seemed like an interesting juxtaposition of putting people into. That sort of bartering sort of phase that kind of comes out of that. So I sat down and I mocked up the cards on blank cards and kind of play tested it with myself, and it wasn't fun. It was the least fun thing I've ever made. I was completely disgusted with it. Like, oh, this sucks. This is terrible. I gathered everything up, and I've got this a tackle box of sorts that I use for all my game design bits. And I just tossed it in there and forgot all about it for, I don't know, a year plus. And after Dice of Crowns, we were going over to a friend's house, and it was like in the early stages of Click Click Boom. We were going to a friend's house for a game night, and I went to get some things out of that box for some reason, and I saw those cards. And like, oh, I remember this game. Yeah, I hated this thing. And I sat down and was kind of going through them, and kind of memory lane sort of thing. And all of a sudden, I had this flash, this moment of like inspiration. It just hit me, right? Like, I think I know how to fix this. I think I know what is missing. And so I ran back to the table and I quickly mocked up the cards and ran off to our game night. And when I get to game night, I'm like, okay, I know we're gonna play regular games and all that kind of stuff, but before we do anything, we have to play this prototype. I have to know if it is fun, if I fixed the like horrible problem that was there before. And we did. We sat down, played it, and it was broken. It was unbalanced, but there was that spark of fun that was completely missing before. And I was super excited that I'd finally like cracked the code on what this was.
Yes, I've invented fun in this game now.
It's one of the things, like for me as a designer, if I don't see fun, I'm not going to chase after it. That fun element has to be there for me to want to pursue it. Otherwise, I think that's a really challenging thing to go after. You're oftentimes, if you're trying to find fun in something, it's hard to actually get there. Right? Really, what you should be doing is trying to, you should be looking for the, where's the balance, where are the mechanics, how can I tweak this? Like all the kind of mechanical side of things, or the, the thematic side of things. You shouldn't be trying to squeeze fun if it's not there. Like that might be a sign to kind of just let it be. And in that case, that first one, it really was a sign, just love it, let it be. And time apparently was enough to give me some sort of...
The time and tweaking seemed to fix it a bit, so...
Yeah, it was exciting to work on, and as, from going from a point like, okay, this is fun, now how do I balance this? And, spent a lot of time balancing this game, more than probably some of my other titles, which is kind of strange considering the tightness of the game. How like it's not a huge, massive game,
No,
But it required
it's
a
like I
lot of
mentioned
thinking.
before. It's in my opinion, it's a small, compact game it's definitely something like personally for me. It's just like dice. I know I'll be carrying that like on my carry-on bags and stuff. It's definitely so that way if I run into people who like are go with people are traveling, like, hey, you want to just quick play this while we're waiting for planes and stuff or something? Yeah, I mean that's what I like about this stuff personally.
Yeah, it's the tight coupling. For anyone that doesn't know what coupling is, basically there are 3 components in each card, and they are tightly woven together. So if you change a piece of one, it can have huge ramifications across the entire game. That's tight coupling. Tight coupling can create some really interesting and fun game play and experiences and things like that. But it's really, really tricky and time consuming to balance because you have to do things in very small increments.
But it can be fun in the end too.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, so typically, like, if you're going to be tweaking something, what you're going to be doing is like, well, okay, let's try throwing a big number at it and see where this goes, because you have a lot more room to kind of work around and wiggle. In something that's really tightly coupled, you change one number, and then you playtest and playtest and playtest. Okay, how did that feel? Okay, let's change this other number. playtest, playtest, playtest. So it's really time consuming, but it's really rewarding as well.
Okay. Okay, so let's go from here. Wow, I'm Mothership speaking. So yeah, let's head over and let's crash the stable then.
Sweet.
Okay, and now here we are, and we're joined by Chris, Tiny Rhino.
Hey, Sean and Kid, how are you all doing tonight?
I'm good, and yourself?
Oh, I can't complain too much. Hey, Sean, before we get into the game and you kind of tell us how to play, there was a question from chat, and I actually had the same question. Happy Fun Time Live beat me to it. How many sour prototypes do you have shelved that you just couldn't squeeze the fun out of? And it sounds like maybe that
I was thinking the exact same thing too.
Flexible, because like clearly you made Seals of Cthulhu, which again, a game you thought, this is this is trash, right? And then it came back to it, and you were able to fix it. So, does that happen often? And again, how do you get past that? Do you often come back and say, "Ooh, I fixed this game," right?
I actually don't have any others that I feel like are garbage. I have a lot that are in various stages of development. There's a lot of stuff that have an idea like, oh, this seems like a really cool concept, and so I'm in the middle of working all these other things.
Ideas.
Yeah, and so what I'll do is I'll actually I keep a Google Doc and I'll write down what the concept is and some information, like just kind of do a big brain dump of what's in my head at the time, and then I'll kind of set that aside. Like, okay, I need to go back and focus on these other things that are moving ahead, and eventually I'll come back to those things.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's cool though. I would think that for me, I'm a big idea generation guy, but I feel like executing some of those small pieces might be harder or difficult to pull off. And it sounds like you have that kind of skill set of idea generation and creation, but also the ability to come back and pick out some of those small things again to improve or take it to the next level and so on.
Well, it's really easy to get sidetracked too. Like, you could be working on something and go, oh, this cool idea. And you start looking at that thing and then, oh, cool idea. And you go start this other thing. Pretty soon you've got a whole bunch of things that are nowhere near completion. And you're like, well, what do I start focusing on? So for me, I have to get it out there and get it done. And then, then I'll go back and start focusing on what I need to focus on.
Awesome. Well, happy fun time. Appreciated your response. And now it sounds like a good time to kick off the game.
Sweet.
Okay.
Let's see, for anyone looking. So I assume everyone can see the table here. So I'm just going to kind of do this visually.
Sure can. Yep. And Matt's hopping around on the camera, so feel free to kind of talk through what you're doing, and he'll follow you around.
Cool. Well, so I'm going to be playing as the investigator. My job is to thwart Kitsume's attempt to destroy the world. my cards are all these tan cards, these 6 tan cards in front of you. And we're going to be using the base card, which means that the creature that we have in our deck is the Shoggoth. And Kitsumi has these black and purple cards in his hand.
These amazingly evil cards. I mean, they're awesome. Don't worry about the shadowy figures in the background.
So I'm going to pull up one of the cards here. So you'll notice that this card, half of the art is actually on this card. Now, the reverse of this one is in Kavika's hand. He's got the other half of that art. Now, if they were to be placed together, that completes the artifact. And we'll slide them together. Whoop, there we go. So you'll actually complete the image. Once you've completed the image, you can actually use the ability on this card. Each one has different abilities, like flipping cards down so that they are inaccessible, flipping cards face up so that they can kind of spring forth and become accessible again, putting cards from your hand onto the table and vice versa. Each card is also worth a certain amount of victory points or control points at the very top. That's basically your end game victory points. The number on the side of each side there, that's what the card is worth when you're bidding. So at the very beginning, nobody has any cards face up in front of them. What you're going to be bidding with are these meeples right here. We're actually bidding with the lives of the people that are influencers, if you will.
Your sacrificial lambs here.
Exactly. Kitsumi's got 4 green ones, and I've got 4 blue ones here. And so that's our currency. Each card then is worth a certain amount of people when you're bidding with them, because you can actually bid with their cards. The tricky thing is that if you're bidding with cards as well, you're essentially giving potential victory points away to your opponent. Now, as I said, each of the cards has half of the image. There's one exception in each player's hand. There's a potion here. Potion has all of the art on that card. So once you have that card up and face up in front of you, it's immediately accessible on your turn to use for its ability. And then the other, let's go over here to the Elder God, the Shoggoth. He's kind of a nasty little bit of work. So he's worth 3 currency points when you're bidding. But he's worth a -3 victory points. So you really don't want to have him on your side at the end of the game. But if you complete him, if you actually have both together, his special ability is that you're going to flip one of him face down, and you're going to flip another player's face-up card face down. So you can nullify a really high-value card for them and nullify some of those negative victory points. And hopefully the remainder of that game, you can get rid of him so you don't have any negative victory points at all. The gameplay is going to take place over 5 turns per player, which means that you're going to have 1 card left in your hand that will not be used in the game. So there's a bit of trickery, a little bit of strategy in what cards do I want to play. And that's the game.
Okay. Let's blah 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 blah. Let's just go into a game. Just this.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what this setup looks like. So do you draw all these cards into your hand?
Yes, so we'll take all 6 cards into our hand.
I think some of them flew out.
Oh, they did.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for that. There we go.
No problem.
And then we would decide which player goes first. Would you like to go first, sir?
Sure, I can get that. Let's get this. We can get this ball rolling. Let's see. Okay, so do you want to explain turn order why since
sure.
I'll be playing?
So Katsumi is going to be picking a card to play face down. Now,
so I don't know what's here, though.
I have no idea what that is because I know what's in his hand and what they're worth, but I don't know what he's playing face down. Now he's going to be putting up 2 units here. He can bid anything from 0 up to whatever amount of influence he has in front of him. So he's got 4 influence to start. And basically this is what he's offering me to gain control of that card. Now I have to decide, am I willing to let him have that card and take his influence, or do I want to bid my influence to go over him? If I want to try and gain control of it, I have to bid at least 1 more than what he's offering.
Okay, so you can't equal out. You've got to exceed.
Exactly. Now I could, if I wanted, I could go all in. I could put 4 up there, and he can't exceed that, which means I guarantee that I'm getting a card.
Oh, please do.
Is there some
I'm
level
sure
of
he would like me to.
bluffing here that
I'm
happens,
just
Sean?
What's that?
Is there some level of bluffing here? Like, I guess so the more influence bid means the more you'll have, and then how do you spin the influence? That's to activate the card, correct?
No. Oh, sorry.
So basically, this currency is going to go back and forth. So I went ahead and accepted his bid. 2 is pretty good. I didn't really want to go 3 on risking what that was, and looks like he's got half of the gate. So his version of the gate, his half of it, is worth 5 victory points, but only 1 bit of currency for his trading purposes, his buying purposes. So right now he's got a total of two influencers, and he's got his card that he could bid with. But he's got 3. Okay. So I've actually got more bidding power over him. I've got my 4 plus his 2, so that might give me a little bit of a leg up on him. My half of the gate is worth 5 for influence, but only 1 victory point. So each of the card, while only having half, they're a reverse of each other as far as their victory point and currencies go. Let's see. So what should I think I'm going to go like this.
Hit F in your hand before you take it out.
Flip it in your hand first.
I should do this. And this one instead. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to place this card down. And as the game goes, now that I know that he's played his gate, I know that next card's coming up. Well, they aren't that one, so you can start to get an idea of what they might be playing as the game plays out.
Gotcha. And again, you don't necessarily want to give him the other side of it either.
Exactly. Well, sometimes you don't mind letting a player win a card because it's going to place them into a difficult position.
Okay.
So I'm offering up 1.
You know what? I'm actually going to accept the 1.
Okay. I've got the half of the Shoggoth out here. So yeah, I've got -3 victory points, but he's very useful for bidding.
Because he's got that 3 influence. Okay. So again, total influence right now is you've got 5 meeples plus your 3 from Shoggoth, and then the 3 meeples plus the 1 for the gate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we will pass turn marker back. Originally, when I had the game design, we didn't have a turn order marker, and it can be a little thinky on your turn trying to puzzle out, and even on the other player's turn, like, well, how much do I want to go for this? Do I want to go all in? And there's a lot of thinking back and forth, and then people would forget whose turn it was. Right. So we needed some way to identify that active player's turn, because you can only use card abilities on your turn.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So it's not in any time. But now, can you use multiple card abilities on your turn?
Absolutely. So, for example, if I get the other half of the Shoggoth, and I use his ability, if I've got another card that allows me to flip that card back face up, I can use it a second time. So you can combo cards into each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah, using the Shoggoth with a potion, then the Shoggoth again, that can really mess up a person.
Interesting. He's going 3. That's a super strong bid. Interesting. I think I know what he might be trying to do here.
You think he's trying to make a bid high? You do a little bit of misdirection here?
I think he wants me to bid with the Shoggoth. I think he's wanting me to bid this away.
I mean, it's always possible.
But you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and take your offer here.
Good.
We'll see what.
Where'd it go? There it is.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's a card with a heavy influence, but not necessarily a great victory point. So it sounds like maybe some strategy here is to want some of these heavy influence cards early, but then maybe auctioning them off or bidding them out in a way so you can get those other
What you
hefty
need later
victory
on.
points later. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Let's see. I think. I think I'll go this one. What's the zoom key?
Alt.
Okay.
Alt.
Alt, that's right. Yeah. Well, let's see if I do this. So I'm going to go here. And I'm going to offer you nothing. My bid is 0. So because I've got all 4 of his meeples plus all 4 of mine, I'm in a position where I can force his hand in order to. He's going to have to bid his card if he doesn't want me to take this.
Gotcha.
You can have it.
Gotcha.
Gives it to me for free.
Yep. Let's see what we got here then. I'm going to play that for 0.
I will bid 1.
Let's see.
Now, has Kit put himself in a difficult situation here? I mean, again, he doesn't at this point, at least for a round or two, he can't do much in the way of betting, giving, offering influence unless he gives up.
Well, he can always exactly.
Well, yeah,
so
no, I'm
losing
take
all of your.
I've bet myself out of my initial influence, but I still have the 6 influence from the 2 cards. You can have that, by the way.
Right. Okay.
Yes, you can have that.
Let's see. Rotate is
Q and E.
And E, yeah.
There we go.
And then I'll pass that to you.
So I've got half of the journal. Interesting. And I've got these. So I've still got a lot of bidding power. So losing all of your meeples is a real thing. I've been in that situation and been able to work my way out of it through careful bidding of cards, but it's a really tough spot. Let's see.
Well, again, because having the influence at the end, isn't necessarily as useful if all the cards are down and there's nothing more to do.
True.
So we're going to do this, and we're going to offer. We'll offer 1.
Okay. I'm actually going to counter with 2.
Interesting. Think about this for a second. Let's see.
Not to give all of your strategy away, Sean, but what's going through your brain here?
So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to give him this card.
And
him offering me, him offering me his card. So the only way for me to use any of these abilities is to have his card. So sometimes it's worthwhile to sacrifice your own cards in order to get theirs. Because once you're bidding for your own card, you have a little more control over what you're going to get, right?
Right.
So, yeah, you know what? I will take your offer there, and I will be taking mine back. It is all yours.
Okay. So I was thinking it was going to be the other half of the journal.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that, like having the journal completed would be really strong for me, but willing to give it away to him because it really puts him in a difficult situation in the whole bidding process again. And I will pass the turn.
Yeah, because not only has he lost. I mean, technically, it's a net gain of influence, right? The gate.
No, it's an equal. It's an equivalent out of it. I'm going to bet 0 or wager 0 on this.
0. Sure. Actually, wait. That is 2.
Yeah, Matt makes the point that I think I was trying to allude to is that while the game changes quick and the influence changes quick, Sean has it all right now, so he's able to, again, bid out like
he's able
outbid.
he's able to play the board to the way he could see fit, but it could be against. It could be something I'm working on.
Well, especially with him now having 2 of your cards, right? And so yes, while the journal's out, so like there's one match he for sure has a gate in his hand. So I mean that set is available to him for sure.
That's true. So let's see, offer 1 back. Yeah, you can have it because I already know what it is anyway.
Let's see here. Should I go for? So I take that back here. You've got that. So I'm just going to offer you 1 right now. Something. So I bid 1.
I'm going to offer the 2
because I knew he was going to have to go more.
Right.
He really didn't want me.
Yeah, he was going to have to offer the journal, give you essentially a bonus meeple, or offer a 5, right?
Yes.
Right.
Again, which in turn is not a great victory point piece for you. So
this would be correct.
Let's see. If I go now, you can adjust bids. So I'm going to actually pull this meeple back and offer 3. So just because I bid with that 1 meeple to begin with doesn't mean that I'm stuck.
Right. It's just the total.
I'm
value.
actually going to take that.
Yeah.
That is exactly what I was thinking it was going to be too for you.
Yeah. I need to get some points going on this side.
Yep. Okay. Let's see.
So again, what's the end game condition here?
After I play 5 cards and after he plays 5 cards. So he's currently on his final turn. So for him to be able to do anything with card abilities, he's going to have to do it on this turn.
Right.
Otherwise, he's out of luck.
Yep.
And currently, the victory points, I mean, you're in the lead right now, correct?
What's he got? He's got 1.
I have 3 points.
He has 2.
4, 5. Yeah, 2. Sorry.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, 2 points.
You're at 7.
He's got a lot. This is how I play. I just play for the fun.
You're at 17, it looks like.
Give that.
5. Yep, 17.
3.
Five.
Interesting. Huh. I'm pretty sure I know what that is. I'm feeling like it's probably the Shoggoth. I think he wants to create the Shoggoth so he can nullify one of my cards.
Oh no, of course not. I would never be so evil as to do that. I mean, my cloak and everything says I'm a good-hearted person. I can't lie like
again. at what point does that become bad on his point, right? So like, yes, he'll flip one down, he'll still be at -3, and maybe you lose a big 5-pointer, but
that also gives him that 1 to be able to bid with on the next turn.
true.
Yep.
And stick me with -3 again. So that could really kind of wreck me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to go for 5, 6.
I mean, guess you won me. You can have your negative points. You can have it.
Boink.
Yep.
Yep. I didn't want to give him the journal because he would be able to use it.
Right.
Yep.
So right now he is at 2, 6, -3, so 3 and 4. So he's got a total of 4 points. And what am I at? I'm at
You're at
5, 6, 7, -3, so 4, and 10, 12.
One of the questions is, do the meeple influence count at the end of victory points?
So if both players are tied for their total control points at the top, then you look at the number of meeples. The person who has the most influencers is the tiebreaker. There is a second tiebreaker. If there's still a tie, look at the number of cards, and whoever has the most number of cards is going to win. And if there's still a tie, in the place of 3, a third tiebreaker, both players lose because Cthulhu.
Because
It's the best. Because
I find that phenomenal. Like you always hear like the ties are in someone's benefit,
Right?
But it's like, no, y'all all lose it.
yeah, we all lose.
It's not
Huzzah!
thematically appropriate. We're talking about Cthulhu here. It's
Right.
there's no everyone wins.
Chaos.
It's everyone loses. Let's see. What am I going to offer? You got 3 out there. So why don't I go? I'm going to start it off this way and see 3. And see 3.
3.
I'm going to offer the other half of the Shoggoth because I'm such a nice guy.
Oh man. Oh man. Here's my parting favor too. Here's 4.
4. So we go 2. Actually, let's go. There's 4. There's 6. So there's my 6.
Hmm. Let's see. Here's 8.
Mm. We'll give you 4, 6. I take. Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take all of that.
Yep, that's. I figured you weren't going to play the other half of the gate.
And because it's still my turn, I'll rotate these guys here. Oops, back here. I completed the Shoggoth on my turn, so I'm going to flip one of them face down. We're going to flip his version face down to use an ability, and let's see. We'll kill your journal.
Yep. I went to flip it.
All the flipping.
All the flipping.
And then that would be the end of the.
And at
That's
this
it.
point, it's just counting up the points, right?
I mean, count on
Yeah.
the points. Yep. So he will end with 5 to my 7, 8, 13, 14,
Now,
15,
if-
16,
If I,
minus
yeah,
3, so
16,
13. To my 13.
So if I may, real quick, The funny thing
Yes.
is, he could have actually made me have 0.
Yeah, I could have. I could have
Because
flipped
you
my
had the
potion.
gate closure as well.
Yep.
And you had the potion. Good times.
Okay. Well, Sean, I will tell you that one of our general themes on this show is that the guest loses.
Oh, you haven't met Sean before, have you?
Especially if they play their own game. And Kit didn't do a great job of reinforcing.
Oh, Chris, I left that honor for you, man.
Oh, is that what we did?
Oh yeah, trust me. You should ask what happened last time we played this. I gave up Cthulhu to him.
Yeah, he did. He knew he was going to lose, so he stuck me with Cthulhu, and it wiped out all my other cards.
Board, but he had 12 victory points at the end.
Right. So a couple of points. I think the conversation is that we move. That I'll play a game here, step in for either Kit or Sean. But the question here is, so you all played with Shoggoth to start. What about either these other folks over here, or these various like character pieces over here?
Yeah.
What's the nuance there?
So let me talk about these a little bit. So this one down here, Cthulhu at the bottom of the stack. That is the other Elder Guide that came in the base game. And we've unlocked some more stuff. So Cthulhu's thing is that you'll notice that he has the same victory points on both cards at the top and the same influence value on the side. So it's 6 and 1. So he's really not useful at all for bidding a single point. But 6 victory points is really strong. It's the most valuable card in the game.
I mean,
his ability, though, is if you complete him, he flips over every single card that you have face up on your side of the board. Then goes face down.
Got you. So again, if you're not have a handed lead like you had tonight, yes, it's 12 points, but I mean that's a good 12 points. And that's still a good amount of points, right? But I mean, that doesn't necessarily guarantee a victory either.
Right. Yeah. I did see one player once where they managed to survive and they won by a point, and it was 12-11. So they actually got stuck with Cthulhu. So he can if you trigger him too early, he'll just destroy everything on your side of the board. You're like, oh man, I've got nothing to bid with, and I've got this giant like hulking terror that just wrecked me. The other guy that we've got over here is Hastur, the king in yellow. So he's really useful to bid with. He's 3 for influence, and he's 3 victory points. So currency-wise, he's kind of like the potion. His ability is when you complete him, when you summon him forth, at the end of each turn, he destroys one of your face-up cards. So if I've got him on my side, I have to literally remove one of these face-up cards the game. It's no longer accessible. It's not even face down. It's gone. So usually if he gets sprung early, he gets passed back and forth kind of like a hot potato, and whoever gets stuck with him just starts getting stuff chewed away, and your endpoints end up being really low because he just lays waste to the entire field.
Okay.
So what you do with these guys is you would pull out the Shoggoth and you would add in the other Elder Gods, both cards to each player. Now the cards over here on the side, the Investigator and the Cultists. We'll cover those real quick. So the Investigators, there's 3 that we've unlocked so far. There is Gabriel Moretti. He's the Archbishop. So basically, each of these character powers are something that's accessible to you with a power that's usable, but only once per game, or it's a different end game situation. So Gabriel's ability is that once per game, you may banish a face-down card and remove it from the game. So let's say I'm playing as him, and if Kitsume gets the Shoggoth there, and he flips one face down, if I'm worried that he's going to trigger it a second time, I can banish that half of the Shoggoth out of the game, so it's no longer accessible. Abby Jones, she is the scientist. Her ability is that once per game, you may force your opponent to turn their bid face up. So she is able to expose the machination. And Alex Smythe, if your face-up cards equal exactly 13 control points at the end of your turn, you immediately win.
Okay.
Tricky number to get to.
You passed it.
If you're really, really clever, I've seen people rarely do it like on turn 3, but usually it's going to be 4 or 5 if that is able to happen. More often than not, you're dancing around that like, I've got 12. I've got 14. Oh, come on. Let's go over to the cultists here. We'll go to the top one, the Enforcer of Truth. At the end of your turn, you may swap your hand with your opponent. Your opponent always plays first. So if you've played your more useful cards out and you feel like, well, okay, I've got stuff here and I really want to be able to get their cards, you're basically going to swap your hand with them, and so you can start being able to trigger those abilities a little easier. The Blade in the Mist. At the end of the game, you may sacrifice any of your opponent's influencers, your meeples, that you control, and you gain 1 control point for each that you sacrifice. It tends to be one of my favorites that I play. Once you start getting the other person's meeples, you basically hang on to them and set them aside.
He just puts them on the card and just lets them dance around.
Yep, it makes the economy shrink and get really tight. But that's each one's a victory point, so it can have a big swing.
Well, again, it's points you don't want to get rid of.
Yeah. And then the Golden Dawn, once per game, you may force an opponent to turn their bid face up during the bidding. So he kind of exposes things in the way that Abby does. We needed to have him as a counterpoint to her because that's a really strong ability. So
right. Okay. Well, do we want to play with a new Elder God, and do we want to see if we can? We can play with a character. We don't necessarily have to, but we're going to see if we can get one quick game in too. As producer Matt said, trying to keep our streak alive of defeating the guest. I am our last hope.
Oh, then you're doomed. I mean, what a shit.
Yeah, do you like to be the? Do you want to be the cultist or do you want to be the investigator?
Let's be the. I think I'm going to be the cultist. I think I'm excited about that. Right, I'm evil. So
there's something, but yes.
So go ahead and pick a character. Let's go ahead and use the characters. Let's pick one to use. Let's see.
I was going to say you should have chat just pick which Elder God.
Yeah, chat. Pick an Elder God for us. Again, we got Hastur, we've got Cthulhu, and we've got Shoggoth. So feel free to pick.
Actually, you know what? Try and go for.
And like I said, I love the art on this game. It's so pretty.
It's pretty, but it's also that just jagged. I mean, it's rough, right? Like it's while it's pretty, it feels like you feel a little bit of that darkness, that old schoolness, that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, would you mind if I show what you gave me on Saturday?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I went and I got this, which I forgot to scan it in show earlier, but this is what I got on. This is the full art of Cthulhu, and I love it because it reminds me of watercolor mixed with it's dark watercolor. And it's just so cool.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like the art's great for sure.
The artist is a friend of mine that actually did the Thing 12 logo for us, and I've been wanting to work.
That's great.
I've been wanting to work with him on a project for a long time, but with this really dark style, and I didn't really have anything that really fit with his style. And this came up, and so I talked to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to work with you guys." And the funny thing is, he knew nothing about Cthulhu. Like he didn't know the history, he didn't know who Lovecraft was or any of that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, well, that's perfect because I want some really fresh take on things. So as I'm kind of explaining things, I'm giving him textual descriptions, here's some things that it could look like. But I told him kind of avoid looking at things on the web. I want your take on what this might be. So our version of Cthulhu looks really different from the classical Cthulhu style, right?
It does,
and
but
we've had
it's
a lot of
still
good
so
reception
cool.
from that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's still so cool.
I would say try
So
Cthulhu too.
we're gonna pick Cthulhu.
Sweet.
Because only one person has said something. Technically, Dr. PT0 said beforehand too that Cthulhu is the only winner. So let's pay
That is
homage.
that is correct. That is a
Let's
correct
pay
answer.
homage to Cthulhu. And now, who did you pick? You picked Alex Smythe. It looks like. So that's the exactly 13. And I picked the Golden Dawn, which is the once per game I can essentially force you to show your bid.
Did you pick the only guy with a beard?
Did I? I mean, this dude kind of has tentacle beard. The Enforcer
No,
of
but
Truth
this guy's got the beard.
yeah, and
He's
it's
got
red. It's kind of red, so like that feels like me, right? Yeah, I pick characters that visually represent me. So
yes, visually represent you.
all right, let's let winners go first. I'm all about that.
Sweet. Okay. So I'll pull this over here. Let's see. How should I get this party started? Let's go. Yeah, let's go this way. This out, and I'm going to offer 2.
Yeah, and so my option here is to accept this bid,
Mm-hmm.
take these 2 meeples, and give you the card, or to
To go
outbid you.
higher. Yep.
And I do that with either the meeples I have, the cards that I don't have but would have, or any combination of the 2. Correct?
Correct.
I'm going to take these meeples.
Yes.
I think you think I'm an amateur, and you put something worth a lot of influence but no victory points down. Well, a little bit of both.
And I will pass the turn. So one of the things that was really important to us, if you look at the text descriptions of the investigators and both investigators and the cultists, you'll notice that it's really gender neutral wording.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wanted the game to be very, accessible to a wider audience. So the information, those question marks that exist on the cultist, that's very intentional. That right. is the final text is going to be on there. So it shows his age is unknown, his height is unknown.
And I noticed that even on the investigator cards, there's no mention necessarily of gender there. Mm-hmm. So like that's interesting. I mean, it's interesting. And I was on a post the other day, not to sidetrack us from our move here, but I was on the post the other day that was very much a here's the issue. I don't, if I play a character and I feel like all I do is see he does this and he does that, like it's not always enjoyable for some players. I think I'm.
Oh, by the way, this is normal for him to take this song. By the way.
Yeah, sorry. I'm
no, that's fine.
I'm someone that's frozen by indecision often. I'm gonna give you this with no meeples.
Offering me nothing. Wow, really? Well, sure. Let's go ahead and throw one out there.
I'll take it.
Interesting. Okay. Really curious.
Oh.
That is interesting. Interesting. Okay.
So I've given you an option, it looks like, to already kind of create that gate closure piece.
Let's see. Take that up here. And, Hmm. Good. So if I go this way. That. I think I want to do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, it's surprisingly thinky. Like you can't just like race through your turn. You really have to think about which card you're putting out there
Right.
at the risk of potentially losing it. You know, and
Right.
almost kind of chess-like. Like, okay, I'm thinking like a couple of moves ahead.
Our chat
Kinda like
right now,
card chess.
producer Matt has said, "How does the influence drought taste now, Sean?"
I don't know what you're talking about. He's got what, 10 influence versus your
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, well, and again, Matt says it in our ear, but yeah, I mean, if he's willing to give me a card worth that much, you know, it feels early to do this, but I think I'm
Team
going to do it.
investigator is confident in their
Yeah,
in their position.
I you know what? I don't blame you. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do my once per game. I'm gonna make you bid face up here.
Wow. Okay. So just rotate your card to show that you've used it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is what I thought he might do. I'll throw 2 out here.
Yep, I'll take them. Okay. And I pass it.
Oh yeah. So so I haven't checked today actually. I just got the message. But how's the Kickstarter doing?
When I looked this morning, we were about $600 away from hitting our next stretch goal. We've unlocked 2. One of them was Hester, and the others were some other cultists and investigators. Jumping into it real quick, it looks like we are. Yeah, wow. We're $400 away from hitting the next stretch goal. So the next stretch goal actually improves the first player or the active player token, makes it all a molded piece, and then I'm really excited about it. And that's going to be like a really cool upgrade. You know, very nice to improve.
I like the
quality
fact
of
that
the
they're
game.
just like, if you look on their web, the site, it doesn't tell you specifically what they are. They're riddles, and that's how the updates have been. It's riddles.
So the next one that's coming up, I'm super excited for. I can't talk about it yet, but I feel confident that we'll hit it, and it's going to be a really cool.
Like, I enjoyed what's coming next, and then I'm not going to tell you what it is.
I'm going to tease you with it.
Right, but we all love stretch goals. So, like, you know what? I think folks are, well, you know, if anything, let that be the teaser. I think that's a fun little piece there.
Yeah, there's some, and when the Kickstarter went live, there was a really cool box. I had to jump on it immediately.
Yeah. I'm going to throw that out there for 0.
0. Interesting. Huh. Okay.
And I believe there's still 2. I'm trying to remember how much time's remaining now.
We have another
13 days.
13 days, yeah. So we just passed the 2-week mark, so it's good. We're going to be doing some more in-person playtests and whatnot. There's one coming up at Paradise
Games
up in
just
Bellingham.
so I can remember what I did here.
Oh, just do Alt Shift, man.
Oh, that's right.
So we don't have to be So where's the live playtesting going to be happening at?
That's at Paradise Games up in Bellingham. I believe that they're fairly new, at least within the last 6 months, a year or so. One of the new owner of this store in Bellingham used to work at a different game store and started up Paradise Games. That means there's a couple places to do board gaming up in the Bellingham area, which I think is pretty cool. That they've actually got enough people up there to actually support that, and it's a college town, so there's a lot of people there, so that kind of makes sense. But I'm going to be up there with Fantastic Factories. Yeah,
Bellingham, Washington, guys. Just so everyone knows, just make sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take this, and I'll give that to you.
Takes the one. What did I buy? Ooh, for one. Okay, sweet. I will take that potion.
What's going on in Tiny Rhino's head?
I don't know. Part of the time,
don't either.
I just play. This is what happened with the other asymmetrical game we played last week, which is Neverland Rescue. I just did things until the end, so.
You got Kitsume syndrome. I see how it is.
There is no long game strategy here, Matt. I hope to actually confuse Sean enough that he just makes a big blunder because he thinks I'm going to do a thing, but I have no strategy.
No. If you want to confuse Sean, you play him as dice games. Then dice just don't like him.
At this game. Click, click, boom, and Dice of Pirates, Dice of Crowns. I get wrecked all the time. I do lose at this one from time to time, but it's one the more you play, the kind of better you get. Okay, I think this is the move that I want to make. I'm just gonna go one. Offer you one little meeple.
I will counter with 2.
2 little meeples.
My meeple died. He was sacrificed to Cthulhu.
He went crazy and he had madness. Madness, I say.
I will take your offer of 2.
Now, if I may, your investigator ability, Sean, only works for your side, not for both sides of the table, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, I don't win here with a
13. Just want to make sure, just in case that need to be clarified for any reason. Just want to make sure.
I'll give you 1 here.
Let's be 1. Let's see. So 1. That, and you've played that.
We're gonna watch Sean go Beautiful Mind territory.
Right. This is where let's find some little chalk imprints of Pythagorean theorems, and
it's like
2.
So I will say that I've started doing some looking into on game theory, and Nash has some pretty phenomenal stuff that he does. So
all for 2.
I'll go 4.
Holy moly! Wow.
Interesting.
This could be a horrible move, and
I mean, have you met Chris? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, at 4, I
moves.
That's a strong bid that I hard pressed to pass up. So I'm just going to go ahead and take those.
Okay, I'll help you by kicking your meeples over here.
Oh,
When the game creator said, "Ooh, well, like that was a tough one."
So, speaking of meeples, you're gonna have custom meeples though for the when the game's created, correct?
That's one. So right now we have standard meeples. We
Yeah.
do have a number of stretch goals that are still upcoming, so
That might be one of them.
custom is one that we were looking into. Yeah,
Because you want to see little cloaked meeples just in front of you.
exactly.
Okay,
You wouldn't want to see that
it's my
awesomeness.
turn here, right?
So yes, it is your turn, and you completed the journal, so you have the option. You may swap a face-up card you control with one from your hand.
Oh. No, you did the bidding last, didn't you? Yeah, Chris, you can use the ability. You don't have to. You're not bidding at the moment.
Well, yeah, but do I don't
You don't have to.
necessarily-
You don't have
You
to.
don't
You
have
can
to.
just.
Yeah, so that's what I'm offering here.
But you
Sure.
just did
Zero
that one.
influence.
That was your offer. So
Oh, okay. Sorry, we just hadn't switched turns.
Yeah, that's what I was confused on.
I get it now.
The marker
folks.
over
I'll
here
get
is
there.
this is why we use the marker. So it shows like, hey, marker's on
Here,
your side.
take your marker. Well, but it's interesting because again, it's back and forth of this, like, do you take the offer, right? And I can see where that gets confusing too. It's like, can throw you off.
I'm good here. Yeah, that. Let's see. So I think I want to do this. And sorry about that. Yeah, I'm going to offer nothing. I give you nothing for this card, sir.
Hmm.
I remember someone talking about a drought of meeples at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
Drought of influence. Yeah. Guys shouldn't have mentioned that. That might just jinxed you.
I'm gonna offer 4.
4. Hmm. Let's see. Let me do that. I will take your 4.
I just don't want any of my cultist cards.
Like,
You're a very awkward, evil person. You realize this, right?
Right. I am.
and pass it over to you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to do some math here. 3,
Sorry, I have to
6,
just in my eyes.
8. So you're sitting at 8 points here, and I've got your 5, so I definitely don't want to give you mine.
Yeah, you're at 15. Wow. Let's-
And I'm going to give it to you for 0.
Well, I can't let that stand, of course. I have to go at least 1. I'll just lay him down.
It's a meatball sleeping on the job.
Passed out cultist.
Bum bum bum.
I'll take it.
See if I was right. Yeah, it was.
I wondered if you had pegged me there.
Like, it's gotta be that one. He's not gonna want to give me something too good. But I do have the Necronomicon now, so that's nice. Just to have in my back pocket. So the Necronomicon, I can, if I control both face up, I may swap a face down card I control with one from my hand. Right now I don't have any face down cards, but it's a nice security blanket to have with me. I'm guessing you're passing the turn?
Yes, go ahead.
Blink. Okay. So this will be my final turn. Here. I'm going to put that out there and see, what do you have? Got that, you got that, and that. So let's just say 2. And I will offer you 2.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like,
So you're gonna go for 2 here?
Yep.
Where are you at math wise? 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my gosh, do you have a thing with 1 victory point?
maybe.
Do any of the cards have a 1? Yeah, so it'd be the gate, right?
No, remember they rotate because you have the other
Well,
half of gate closure.
Yeah, no, the gate.
Oh, the gate.
Yeah, it would be the
Ooh.
gate.
Well, I mean, we could distract him with questions. I mean,
I'm gonna take him. I'm thinking he's thinking I'm not going to, so I'm gonna take him.
I think he thinks.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
He played Chris.
I outplayed myself. I was going to, and I should have done it last turn, and I just thought about it. I was gonna, put Cthulhu down, flipped under, and I was just gonna bet Cthulhu. I think he would have been suspicious to that, but I think I needed a big point victory, and I wanted to take that out. So either way, I was either getting some good stuff or not. But okay, well, it looks like the creator has beaten us both in his own game, which again you should do. Don't take pride in it. One thing that I want to ask.
Alex win. That was.
Yeah, Alex wins no matter what. I did want to ask a question in chat. Is it difficult to balance which ideas to put in the base game and which to put into, stretch goals, or do you just come up with those as you play test the game? Like, kind of what goes into the creation of stretch goals?
It kind of depends on the game, really. So for this one, we knew that we wanted to have a representative example of the gameplay in the base game, right? So the Shoggoth is a negative victory point card, and Cthulhu is a positive victory point card. And he's one that kind of feeds into another player's ability. There's a fourth cultist and a fourth investigator that we've yet to unlock yet, and they actually feed into what he does. So we wanted to have, kind of both sides of that coin, that the negative example and how that plays out, and then that positive example and how that can kind of play out. The other creatures are, they take advantage of that system in various different ways, but they weren't tantamount to the experience. Now, and Cthulhu has to be in a game called the Seals of Cthulhu. If we had a base game with no Cthulhu, guys, what's up?
All right, people would revolt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, where's Cthulhu? He's on the box, I promise.
He's somewhere.
He's somewhere.
So that was kind of a given for you, but then some of these, other elder gods playing in, or some of the cultists, like you said, are player characters, right? That can change up.
Yeah, and then the base character sets based on investigator and base cultist were one that we thought about, and okay, well, what's the best example to kind of showcase what you can do in the game, and how do we want those to play out? So we did put a lot of thought into how those get layered out, what order things come in. We sort of want to do some gameplay upgrades, and then some quality upgrades, right, and then do some more gameplay upgrades, and kind of just back and forth teeter-totter.
Right. And what better way to do that, right, than just give you a little bit of both? And, folks are getting, I think sometimes you get all these great cards and your cards are horrendous, isn't always wonderful, but to have all of these, great components, but also still have no depth to the game. So I like that back and forth. We had a comment in chat about, I'm not a big fan of Lovecraft lore, but I like some of the decisions that may have to be made here. And as a fan of Lovecraft, I think that's phenomenal. I like the theme of it. I would say, though, that the second part to that question is the completed sets didn't come into play in a serious way, and I wonder if it'd be worth to push more towards that. And I would actually say, and I messed this up, right? And so my goal was to give him Cthulhu and wipe out some of those points there if he would have taken it. If not, landed on a big jump in points on myself. But I gave him, and I probably shouldn't have, and I gave him that set of the Necronomicon, and if I hadn't, I feel like I could have easily threatened that in-game maybe a little differently. So that him having that set actually changed what I did for sure. It didn't do much, but I would say that from a player standpoint, that throughout the game, it's, whether to give him the set and how do I collect a set was definitely kind of bouncing through my mindset the whole time.
And I like the fact that you're not going to be able to trigger every single set in a single game.
Right.
That really encourages you to kind of try different strategies and try different play styles and see what works, and what you kind of like best, and that sort of thing. It makes each game that you play operate a little differently and flow a little differently as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I noticed at one point, I think I did okay with some of the grabbing of meeples, but then you had made an indirect comment that I picked up on. It's with the passing off the potion, that exchange rate of, I essentially gave up, I accepted 1 for the potential 3 influence. And again, being able to use those cards as barter, I think I kind of forgot about that too. It's, yeah, so I gave you a card. It doesn't necessarily need, I got that 1 meeple, but again, at any time you could have said, here's 3.
Right.
And that's an interesting interplay too, that I didn't really think of until I got into it. And I was like, yeah, no, I kind of really sold myself short there. And I could have wagered maybe a little bit more, right? Putting the 2 meeple down. Yes, that gives you more to have, but it also, if I get a card with 3 influence, especially if I don't necessarily want it, that's still a card worth having. So,
well, and what's I started getting more of the influence, the cards with higher influence, my goal at that point was to specifically give you really high victory point cards and take as many meeples from you as I could, so I could kind of back you into a corner where you either had to let me have things for an incredibly cheap cost, or you were going to have to start giving me cards.
Right. Right, for sure. And that's definitely what I got baited into. So yeah, this was fun and quick, right? So like after the first game was pretty quick. We were probably at 30, 45 minutes, and that 30 minutes of gameplay, right? Like 45 with the rule kind of tutorial. And we're at 30 minutes ish on this game, but we also spent at least 10 minutes talking through the other Elder Gods and the playable characters. So like I think Kit said at the beginning, this game's super quick, and I love. I mean, that's what people play small box games for. Is they don't want a small box game that takes you 10 hours to play. They want a small box game, right? That you can literally pull out, like Kit said, on an airport, right? In a Gil's famous of saying like, oh, I'm in a coffee shop, right? And I just want to pull out a deck of cards and throw it out there. And I think that's really cool to be able to say, here we go.
Okay. Cool. Well, it's wow. So remember. So this is Seals of Cthulhu. It's on Kickstarter. There'll be a link, I believe, Is there a link in the chat?
We will put one there.
Okay, cool. There's a link in the chat. There's, like I said, there's 13 days to go. They're really close to their next stretch goal. This is Sean, Think 12 Games. Have any last comments?
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow me on social media, on Twitter, we're at Thing12 Games. On Instagram, at Thing12 Games, and Facebook, at Thing12 Games. We try to keep it very simple for people to find us. Hit Thing12 Games and on a platform, and you'll find us. Okay.
And that being said, for Chris and Matt back on the mothership, I'm Josh, and this is Sean, and this has been Table Crashers.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, folks.
Thanks for watching, guys.